Hi, this is Shari Strong, and I am your host of Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way. Now, the last few weeks, if you've been joining us, we've been talking about the how-tos of doing what we want to do, where do we go, keeping a positive mindset, all of those awesome things. So today I thought I would go the other way. We're going to talk about the 10 quitter traps. Do you know somebody who gets things started and then they tend to quit? Well, I'm going to give you 10 possible reasons why that is, and maybe it's you. So here's what I want you to do. Get a pen. Don't quit now. You've already tuned in. Join me after the break, and we're going to cover the 10 quitter traps. Join me after the break.
Whatever your vocation, you can increase your impact on others by becoming a person of influence. Learn simple, insightful ways to interact more positively with others. Learn how to influence others in the most positive way, and your potential is unlimited. Start your flight to success with this 4-week class.
Hi, welcome back to Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way. My name is Shari Strong. If you haven't joined us before, we are so excited that you have decided to watch the show. So what we discuss here are tips, tools, techniques to help you be a better you achieve more, you'll be able to go out and have more. That's ultimately what this show is about. Today, we are going to be talking, though, about the opposite things. The 10 quitter traps that stop us from having more, doing more, being more. So if you or somebody you know tends to get things started and then they stop or they self-sabotage, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why that's happening. Now, here's the thing. We only have a short amount of time, right? So I'm going to whip through these, get your pen going. And as you notice, lately we've been standing up. It's because I'm so passionate about this. I want all of you to understand that you usually are the biggest reason why you don't have what you have. It's not time or money or all of those things. So are you ready? Let's go. Now, I made notes. As you all know, I like to keep notes because otherwise I would get off on tangents. And that's okay once in a while. So let's get going. Number one, and these aren't in particular order. It's just number one. It ain't perfect trap. See, people will tend to reject an idea or a dream because it ain't perfect, or they don't know how, or where they're going with it. There's something wrong with every idea. I don't know if you've ever heard that good is the enemy of great, but great is the enemy of getting started. You gotta get started. It doesn't have to be perfect. I tell you, some of you who watched the show for the first time, it was not perfect. I flubbed up. I probably will today. It doesn't have to be. The point is will you get the message? And the people I'm trying to reach will. It doesn't have to be perfect. So that's number one. It ain't perfect trap. Number two, see how things just sometimes aren't perfect, but we don't stop. They just fall out, right? It's all right. We're going to keep going. All right. Number two, the conflict trap. So there was a saying, a gentleman said, you can't escape from a prison if you don't know you're in one. I love that, right? People reject goals because it might cause someone else to feel uncomfortable. We put ourselves in a box because of the people we associate with, the people that are around us. They don't want us to move forward. Here's the thing. I don't want any of you to ever deprive yourself of something that you want simply because you might be uncomfortable with conflict. And it happens all the time. You might be in conflict with yourself. Here's how you're going to know if you're in conflict with yourself or with somebody else. You get this feeling that you're scared to give it up. If you're scared to give something up over here, you're in conflict with yourself or someone or something. So I was scared to death to leave that cushy job, and I was in conflict with myself because I would dream every day about doing this. So every day I was living in conflict with myself. And it's the same thing with our friends and some of the people that are around us. If we don't if we are scared to be in a little bit of conflict or to hear things that we know they're going to say and that stops us, that's called the conflict trap. You can't ever get anything you want if you're always scared of conflict. So that's number 2. Number 3, the failure trap. Good ideas are often shot down by people who assume that the future is based on the success of the past. You might have heard your future does not equal your past in a more simplistic way. To some people, smart ideas or goals, they'll start planning, they'll design them, and then they stopped because all of a sudden they hit a boulder or a rock, if you will, or something that stops them and they don't know how to move forward. And then they start thinking, this is going to fail. You know what? This isn't going to work. I've been there. A couple years ago having my business, Strong Success Academy. A lot of people were like, what are you doing? You can't do that online. I knew there was a gap. There was a gap that companies want to help employees. They just don't want to spend $1 million. And employees and people in general want personal and professional development. They just don't have the time or they don't want to spend all the money. We filled that gap. And it's not just videos, it's live training for $25 a month. Everybody said it's going to fail. A lot of people are like, oh, she's just trying something new. You got to keep going. See, here's what I'm going to tell you. Every noble goal, every dream, every idea has a failure factor built into it. Every single one. It's when you get comfortable with, okay, everything's not going to be perfect. Let's expect some obstacles, right? It's kind of like the detour on the road. If you don't expect that, that's when we get in trouble, and that's when we tend to stop. Expect obstacles. Now, I'm not saying pray for obstacles. I didn't say pray for obstacles. Hear me very clearly. What I am saying is you hope for the best, you plan for the worst, and you move forward, and you will not fail. So that's number 3. Okay. Number 4. Oh, I love this one. The lack trap. I wonder how many great ideas or businesses or sales or just community organizations did not take place because somebody stopped from moving forward because they said, I don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have a degree, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough, I don't have this, I don't have that, I don't have friends. I moved here and didn't know anybody 3.5 years ago. I know almost everybody. Could have stopped me. And let's face it, I live in Tazewell, Tennessee, and we're in Bell County, Kentucky. Anybody outside this area, if I would have told them this is where I was coming to start my business, and I don't even have a brick and mortar business, it's a virtual business, they would have been like, are you nuts? I even think back now and kind of laugh about it. I'm glad I was naive enough not to know all the obstacles that were going to come and take place, but we made it over them. It doesn't matter where you're at. That's the point. It wasn't because of lack of. I believed it. Here's what I want you to understand with the lack of trap. Once you make the decision to do something, to achieve something, to hit a sales goal, to help your organization grow, to start your department, to lead your department, whatever it is, once you make the decision, the how will show up. But if you focus on what you don't have, instead of how to overcome what you don't have, that's why you're going to fail. If you hold the image of what you want in your head, I have told all of you, 1.8 million people, that's how many people I want to serve in some way, fashion, something by the end of 2020. Some people are like, 1.8 million? Yeah, I believe it. Nobody's going to stop me. It's not about the money. It's not all of that will come. For me, remember we talked about motivators, influence is my number 1. When you figure that out, it's easier to hold this image of what you have in mind and how you're going to get it. So you have to hold the image, and it can't be from lack of. If it comes from a place of lack of, you won't. I guarantee you, you won't get it. But once you decide and you move forward, that's when you will. Okay, so you're like a magnet. You get what you put out there. All right. Number 5, the stretch trap. People often give up on a goal because it would have to stretch them. It's going to take work. I mean, I didn't get my degree until I was 40. Finish it. I was working on it throughout that time, and I was traveling every week. I was working my way up in a company. I would come home on the weekends. The goal, my original intention, was to do the work while I was on the road. Good intentions. Did not happen because I had client dinners and I had to go out and, with reps and had to work with them. And so I ended up coming home on Fridays and doing homework from Friday, Saturday, to Sunday. My husband did all the laundry. I'm very blessed. He was very supportive of the goal, but I did that for 2 years to finish the degree. Every weekend. I can remember there was weekends I didn't even change clothes. I had to stretch myself. Our family had to stretch. I didn't get to go see them as often. But it is the stretch trap. Here's a good way to, I want everybody right now, wherever you're sitting at, if even you're in the office and people are watching you. Okay, so stretch, just like take a good stretch. Breathe in, all right, everybody here is taking a stretch too, right? Like that feels so good, right? It feels good when we stretch. And often when you start doing stretches like that, we're like, man, I need to do this more often, right? It's the same thing when we're out in the field or with our own goals and what we want. If we don't decide to stretch ourselves, we won't. You have to make the decision to take that big breath and stretch into it. It's the same thing with what you want. And it feels good. That's what you're going to find out. Once you start to stretch yourself, it might be a little uncomfortable. At first, you're like, oh, that stretch, it hurts so bad, right? But on the other hand, once you start to stretch yourself, you're not going to want to stop. You'll set the goal like, okay, how can I stretch myself here? Okay, this might be a little bit of a stretch, but I know I can do it. So let's review real quick before the break, and then when we come back, we're going to get into the next 5. All right? So number 1, it ain't perfect trap. Number 2, the conflict trap. Number 3, the failure trap. Number 4, the lack trap. And number 5, the stretch trap. So join me after the break, and we're going to stretch you a little bit further and talk about the other 5 quitter traps.
My team loved Strong Success Academy. We had fun, we learned leadership and sales skills, and we didn't bust our budget. And the Passport Club provided me with an option for additional training for my team that really supplemented our in-house programs well, and yet they could do it at their pace. Really fun way to encourage participation, the Passport Club gives miles for each module completed, and that helped us recognize our top team members quarterly along with the normal sales results. So thank you to the coaches and the trainers at the Strong Success Academy. You guys are awesome. And if you have a team out there, you need to be here.
Welcome back to Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way, and that's truly what today is about. Are you going to lead? Are you going to follow? Or are you just going to get out of the way? Because what happens to people often is they quit. They just stop. They get going and they stop. Or they start thinking about an idea and then they stop. Today is truly about that because we're talking about the 10 quitter traps. What they are, how they stop you, and then how a little bit to get going from that. First step is to recognize it, and that's really what this is about. So I hope you've identified somebody in your head, a friend, a family member that you love that tends to get things started and then they stop. And then figuring out which one it is, because half the battle is figuring that out, become aware of, and then once you're aware of, you can move forward. All right, so you ready? So you already had the first 5, so let's go to number 6. The how trap. The number 5, we talked about the lack trap, where it's once you make a decision, the how will show up. But that's what this is. See, when Columbus set sail, he did not have a picture of the earth as it is. He had a picture as he thought it was. When you got married, you didn't really know what was going to happen, did you? Good or bad? I hope it's all good for all of you, right? Like, we don't know. So if we really want something, we set sail without seeing the big picture. It's when we're not quite sure or we're stepping out into new boundaries and we don't believe big enough, or we have the other traps that we've already talked about that stop us. Most people reject their dreams or ideas because they don't know how to do something. Once you decide, the how shows up. So what's something, so I'll give you an example. This has just happened. I can't even believe I'm going to tell this on the show. All right, because I just told 2 friends and said I'm not telling anybody. And now I'm on TV, I'm going to tell everybody. So I woke up, the last thing after I got my degree at the age of 40 and then worked up my way up and then quit a job, started a business, it said I was going to go back to school. About a week ago, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning. That's when all my good ideas come. So I have no idea, well, I do know where this idea came from, but it was very clear, go back to school. I'm like, I don't want to go back to school. Go back to school. That's all, and it just bugged me all day long. So I'm going to go back and get my master's. I'm going to start this fall, winter. Now, I don't want to. I don't have a lot of time. I mean, I could fall into I'm not smart enough. Who am I to think I could have this? Really? You don't have time for this? I could fall into every single one of these traps, but I'm telling you all right now, I'm going to do this and figure out how to do it. So I've already looked into some universities in the last 3 days and I'm going to figure out how to get my FAFSA filled out. I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe this. But now I have figured out a reason, something that's going to inspire me. I hope this inspires my grandchildren because on both sides, I'm the first one to actually ever finish college. So I'm hoping to inspire them to keep moving. By the time I graduate, they'll be in middle school. The how will show up once I decide. I have no clue how I'm going to do this. I just know I'm going to do it. I've made the decision. Okay, I'm all excited now. All right, yay, let's go. All right, number 7, the success trap. A lot of people have fear of success, just like they have fear of failure. Or they'll get to a certain point in success and then they drop off. It's because they've never experienced what true success is. I did this. I would sabotage. I was just told I was a dreamer most of my life. So I would dream and have some success and then I would self-sabotage. Why? Because I was just a dreamer. I had to change that thinking and I can have success. It's okay to be successful. It's not traditionally the traditional way of getting there, but what's traditional? We all have a story. See, you'll often hear people say things like, oh, I love that. Here's an example off the top of my head now. I'm going off course a little bit. You'll often hear people say that you shouldn't want to be rich. And I disagree with that, because you can be rich in so many ways. Thinking process, family. But here's the deal. If you don't think you deserve more or should want more, a lot of people don't like the Joel Osteen, and I'm not here to preach about him. What I am saying is he's not preaching self-development. You have to get this. He's not preaching self-development. He's preaching abundance thinking, and not because he wants you to have more. It's because he wants you to have more. A lot of people see it as this here. And the preachers and the people who don't understand that thinking, of course they're going to say, well, that prosperity thinking, they shouldn't want to be. In the Bible it says you should be poor. Guess what you're going to get? Poor. And you're not even going to get more education. You're not going to get more friends. This isn't about money, folks. This is about thinking and being what God intended you to be. I told you it was going to be a little bit of a tangent. Success trap. You were meant to be successful as a parent, as a brother, as a sister, as a leader in your organization, in your community, wherever it is, you were meant for it. But you have to believe you are worthy of it, not deserve it, worthy of it, so you can have more. Hope you got that. Okay, number 8, the illegal trap. Oh, I love this one. Lots of people reject the idea, and especially in today's world, and that's why we have all this conflict. See, it gets me all excited because that's opportunity. But because the laws don't fit what we have today. And I'm just going to give you, and I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm a Republican. So I'm not Democrat, I'm not Republican, and a lot of people say that's independent. No, it's not. I vote one way or the other. It's just, whatever the issue is, I try to research the issue, not the person. So here we go. A farmer who wants to start a business or build land on land that's farmed as, or zoned as farming land. The laws say he can't do it. It's zoned as farming. Should he stop there? Or maybe, just maybe, he should go see what laws does he have to change or work around? Because it happens all the time. Most people, when it comes to laws, I'm not encouraging breaking laws. What I am saying is that there's lots of workarounds. There's ways to get what you want. If you, again, as long as it's within moral ethics, I'm not going to go down this now and preach about this, okay? But the point is lots of things stopped in this world because the laws at hand didn't fit them. Women voting, what would have happened? Our Constitution of the United States of America was based on breaking a lot of the laws that they had been living with, where they came from. And now it's based on, and it's seen as the best freedom plan in the world. How do you work with the laws and then change them? All right, number 9, the impossible trap. All right, people are limited by their own beliefs. I'm saying 1.8 million people. Other people are like, are you nuts? Self-limiting beliefs. Edison, light bulb. Henry Ford, automobile. They told him, you never really get something running like that. Alexander Graham Bell, the phone. These are all kind of examples that are out there. My point here is nothing is impossible. I don't even know if you guys know this, but Thomas Edison would get in trouble at school a lot. He was actually known as a social misfit. He burned down his dad's barn, and get this, he would sit on chicken eggs and to see if they would hatch. They thought he was nuts. He kind of was crazy smart. In the end, he ended up inventing, he was known as one of the best inventors of all time. Nothing is impossible. Have you ever had the idea for something and then you're like, oh, and then it shows up 2-3 years later? Happens to, oh my gosh. I have like the stroller, I had 3 babies there. I had like the car seats in the car and the back seat. I'm like, I wish I could put these on wheels. I should have done something with it. If you have an idea, it's out there now. Somebody's going to grab onto it. I believe that. So it's not impossible. The question is do you think it's impossible or do you think it's possible, and are you willing to do it? We're right on time. We're good. All right, number 10. Here it is, folks. Now I'm just going to give it to you straight. The hard work trap. People see this now, or I wrote the book, and think I'm an overnight success. Overnight success after 35 years of trial and error and making a lot of mistakes. It was hard work. Still is. I'm the VP of IT, VP of marketing. I'm the president. I do it all. I'm here talking. I'm the one that does the coaching, right? I don't have the income quite yet to hire people. I can't wait, but it's not impossible. It's just a matter of when. It takes hard work. A lot of people want a lot of things. They want more sales. They want to be number one. I love, there's a thing that says, are you praying for God to help you have an A on the test, but you're only studying for a B? That's not God's fault, folks. Hard work trap. If you think about a snowball, I'll give you one more analogy. When you're getting a snowball together, now, first of all, you have to have the right snow, right? Like the wet stuff. You put it together, you pack it together, and then you start to roll it, and you start to roll it, and then you start to roll it, and it's like you're sweating underneath your hat cap. Eventually, though, it's big enough, you push it down the hill, and it starts to roll. But it took hard work to get it there. So those are the 10 quitter traps that stop us from moving forward, having all that we want, all that we're meant to have in abundance. If you're praying for something to happen, folks, and you're not taking the steps to do it, it's not because you don't have somebody behind you and doesn't believe in you, because I do. But you can't quit. So join me after the break. I hope today has been awesome. I hope you've learned something today. And after the break, we'll review all 10 very quickly.
This problem.
Big problem.
I really needed
a good executive coach.
and I kept searching and searching.
There are so many choices.
It's really hard to find one that has all the things on my list.
But I finally did it.
Yes. Thank you.
If you are looking for one as well,
Look no further.
Here's a really good one.
Just use mine.
Use mine.
I'm very satisfied.
Definitely recommend.
Problem gone.
Thank you.
So welcome back to Lead, Follow, or Get Out of the Way. 10 quitter traps. Identify them. It'll stop you, hopefully, and make you go, ugh, I'm stuck here. How can I get out of this? So here they are, just so that you can recognize them. Number 1, it ain't perfect. Doesn't have to be. Number 2, the conflict trap. Get uncomfortable. It's okay. Number 3, the failure trap. Everything has a built-in failure. Number 4, we're going to talk quickly, maybe. Number 4, the lack trap. It doesn't matter. Number 5, the stretch trap. It feels good, just do it. Number 6, the how-to trap. Make a decision, the how will show up. Number 7, the success trap. Number 8, the illegal trap. Figure it out. Number 9, the impossible trap. Everything's possible. And number 10, the hard work trap. It takes work, folks. I hope you enjoyed today. Shari Strong with Strong Success Academy, and thank you for being you.